Field Marshal here with Blaster Factory. Today we're painting an E-11. Okay, builders, what we're going to try to achieve today is taking the raw aluminum Field Marshal aluminum blaster replica here, E-11, and doing this. Okay, now I do have some separate videos on actually installing T-track, painting the M19 or M38 scope, and assembling the hikes. For those are in other videos. I won't be doing that on this one. I'm going to mainly focus on just painting the pieces, and I'm not weathering it. I'm just painting it like it would come from the manufacturer, like new. Okay, weathering's up to you. A lot of techniques for that, but you know, we're not going to get into that today. Okay, first thing you're going to do when you've got the kit is, I've got all the pieces laid out. A lot of them are in bags. We're going to start off with painting kind of the main assembly here, the main body tube. I go ahead and mount the rear sight, the bottom latch, the bayonet lug, the mag well, which I may go ahead and pull these pieces off here and spray them separate, but that's up to you too. I want all that not to get stuck with paint. And go ahead and put the front the shoulder stock on. So I'll let David catch up here and we'll continue. Okay, David's put together a couple of the pieces on here that need to be on here before you start painting the body tube. Now, after we get it painted, we'll have to loosen this and the bottom to actually slide the bolt into it, but it's good to go ahead and do it now. Plus, make sure you put your bayonet lug on correctly. This notch goes toward the front, okay? So this is what we're gonna paint first, okay? Now, while I'm painting this, David is going to look at the trigger frame, which this one's already, the side panels are painted, trigger, this needs to be painted, the center screw. He's gonna pull it apart because when you get it, it looks like this. And on the real one, this center section stays, you know, the steel color, but everything else is black. So while I'm over here painting this, I'm gonna go ahead and get him to disassemble this and prep it and get it ready. So, okay. Now let's talk about paint. Let's go right here. These are the three things you're gonna need. Now, today, a lot of people want to prime it. I don't think it needs it, but if you want to prime it, you can. Rust-Oleum, I think, makes the best aluminum primer. This is white. If I was actually going to do this, I'd probably get the black primer, but in any event, it's an etching primer. I'm not doing that. I don't really care to. This is the flat black paint I'm going to be using. Okay, Rust-Oleum high performance enamel. On a good day, this stuff dries in about 5 or 10 minutes. And today it's a little windy and kind of cold and dry air, so it's going to dry fast. And I love this paint. This is my favorite black paint, and that's just about everything we're painting in the original series is flat black paint. Now, controversially, burn is going to like hit the roof when I say this, but there are those who like to use the crinkle or wrinkle paint. And I think that some of the props may have this on it and some of them don't, but I am not doing that today. I'm doing this like it's a normal from the factory brand new thing. And one good thing about this wrinkle paint though that I do like if I was weathering one is that it makes sections of it look kind of worn and gunked up and layers, years, whatever you want to call it. But you know, that's something that you can get on the forums and get in the middle of that. There's a lot of controversy about doing wrinkle paint on E-11, so blah blah blah, I ain't doing it. So okay, now this can's about done. Go to my new can here. and you do need to shake this stuff pretty good. Okay, come over here. I have a couple of really good convenient painting stands that I use. Sawhorse with a tube sticking out the side does real well for a lot of things. I mean, you can stand this thing up on a table and do the same thing. Make sure it's just shaking good enough. Okay, there we go. One of the hardest things, there's all these air vent holes. You want to kind of make sure things go down in there so that doesn't show later. Now, on the mag well, I won't shoot a whole lot of paint in there because the mag, if you're using a vintage mag, those things are pretty tight, so try to avoid shooting a whole lot of paint down in there. One thing good about having the tube, you can just roll it over. A lot of little nooks and crannies to get. Now, you got to stop at some point, because if you keep shooting it, you're going to have runs. So I'm going to stop there. There's still a few places that got missed, but that's okay. I'm going to let that dry for about 5 or 10 minutes. I'll come hit it again. Okay, while the body tube is over there drying, David's been taking apart the trigger frame for us, and he's got the grip off, which you're not painting. The trigger out. This is the main body, the little side plate, and then the two side panels. I do this to kind of simulate the layering that the real one has. This center section stays silver or steel looking, and these outer plates are going to get painted black. You can see inside here we've got a 3-way switch, and that's so you can mount the safety, and a little micro switch, so if you ever decide you're going to put electronics in this thing, that stuff's already mounted in here. There's no need to paint the trigger guard. They're already black oxide. They're just like the real ones, so I don't bother painting those. So, you know, pretty much we just need to paint these couple pieces here. Let's see if I got everything. I need the safety. I think it's still over here. It just presses on. So, okay. We'll lay it out, find us a spot right here. Now you're going to need to do both sides of these things. I'm going to do this trigger like this, pin, and then the safety. I think I'll do it upside down, get the bottom first. Okay. Wow, black spray paint, here we go. There we go, nice little light coat. We'll let that go. Let's see how my, looks pretty good. Now, for the time I was doing that till now, this thing is starting to dry pretty good. Now, the next coats I don't do as smooth, okay? I kind of stand back a little bit more with the spray can. And it's a little windy today, so this is a little harder, but I start kind of misting it because I want it to kind of have a little splattered texture look, okay? And we're going to do 5-6 coats like this, so it'll really start starts showing up. That way you don't end up with this, you know, shiny black tube, okay? This will kind of make it look more militaristic, I guess. Let that dry. Okay. Okay. Next, see, David's starting to prep our barrel here. Now the barrel, you remember when I was painting, the barrel is actually buried, you know, down in here. You know, and if you already had it mounted in here, it's going to be pretty tough to paint it. So I'm going to hit it before we assemble it. Makes it a lot easier. Also, we can bust out the back cap. It gets sprayed black, and a couple other pieces probably here too. Oh, go ahead and talk about this while I got you here. Let's talk about the bolt, okay? Now, on the replica that I make, the bolt is kind of trapped in here with the screws, you know, from the stock. So, you know, you can't break it all the way back, slam it forward and break stuff. That's the way I designed it, okay? So if you want it to go all the way back, you could cut the screws off. That's on you. But the color. Now, in most of the archive footage, most of the screen footage, you see this steel looking or silver looking bolt, okay, in it. And that's kind of standard. That's kind of the standard way I do it. There are some of the pictures of some of the screen used guns where, you know, they actually used a real sterling and have a real sterling bolt like this one. And if you'll notice, I hope it comes out in the video here, but you can see it, it's almost kind of a parkerized greenish color, and you got the clearing strips here, you know, or the steel or silver color. So, you know, that's something that if you were really going the extra mile with it or gonna weather it, that you could do this. But for this video, we're just gonna do it silver, which that's right here. I'll get David to go ahead and start assembling this, because it's already gonna come this color in the pack. So, also, I'm not going to do it in this video. There's another video on actually assembling the replica Heinzler, which I already have one assembled here, but and a video showing mounting it to the actual scope mount. So, you know, we won't go into that, but I'll show you how to paint it anyway. Okay, let's do a few of these parts here, because as soon as the body dries, we're going to mount this stuff. So I don't have to do it completely painted, but let's get it mostly painted, because once that dries, I'll mount it on there. Then we'll have to do some touch-up painting. So, but we'll do a little mist coat on these. There again, I need to start with the back of that. And this thing's a little tricky to paint, because this actually moves. You know, you've got a spring plate in here, and this thing actually functions like the real sterling. If I can get it release here, it'll actually collapse like the real one. So we're going to have to paint it and move it, paint it, move it, paint it, move it, do it a few times to catch everything. So I am going to start off with it like that. Okay, back cap, no reason to fill this full of paint. It's going to make it hard to put on. So when I paint it, I just want to hit the rim around here and not worry about really soaking the inside of it. So I'm going to kind of hit it at an angle here just to get that part of it and get around the outside of it. And if any of the overspray gets on some of the other stuff I'm painting, it don't matter. Okay. Okay. Paint the barrel assembly here. Make it more convenient. Okay. I'm not going to do very thick coats on these. I'm going to do thin coats, quick thin coats. Now, for some of you out there, there is one on my site where I have it completely painted, like on the table over here. You know, and the first thing everybody does is lower their stock and set it up and scratch all the paint. Well, you can touch it up with black spray paint, but Stormtroopers don't unfold their stock. So I get all the edges of it. Now the tricky part is getting down in here, and you want to make sure you get enough of this stuff so that when the stock is folded up and secured, you don't see anything in here. So that's probably good enough for now. That we'll let that dry and flip stuff over and do another coat in a minute. Okay, now back to this section. Time to flip these parts over here. Same deal. That well. I like this handy little trigger thing here too. It keeps you from getting paint all over your hands when you're spraying. Okay, oh, while we're over here, this looks like it could use some another little, and remember, and this is just me, you may do it different, but I just want it kind of a splatter look. Don't want it to look too perfect. Unless you want it to look perfect, and then you can do it gloss black if you wanted to. Okay, we'll let that. Yeah, you see how it's kind of getting a textured look. A lot of pictures I see, these things, the original prop master shot them with a lot of black spray paint, and I don't think they cleaned the gun off. So there's a lot of gunk or oil and other stuff, so it really had some texturing. So this is more of a uniform finish like that, but hey, I like it. Okay. Getting down to the last stuff to paint before we start assembling again. Now I already have one of my counters already mounted. I did this in a video the other day actually, and I started to paint it. But once you get your counter together, which when you get the kit, you're gonna have to put it together here. There's be another video for that. But and you get it screwed and mounted on here correctly. You got your M38, get it painted, ready to go. There's several videos on my Facebook and RPF and White Armor and YouTube and all that stuff where I've done these, so you can easily find it. Now the counter, while you're painting it, make sure that you do not mount your front lens yet. I wait and do that at the very last thing, okay? And I don't glue this on yet. What I do is real simple. Put a piece of tape over the numbers there and slide that on. Okay? Now, I don't try to paint in the seam real heavy either, because in a lot of them the zinc coating, that whatever coating they have on that, that you can see where the eagle is, will kind of show through the edges there. That's up to you. But I let that show just a little bit. But here's the scope mount, and this does need a little touch-up paint. I took the scope off of it. It needs to be hit again, so we will go spray these items real quick and get them ready. So okay, the front muzzle assembly and the sight. They also have these just dropped that one. Well, these really cool vintage knurled screws. Okay, no need to paint those. They may get hit when we get it all together, but I wouldn't paint them now because you want them to be able to screw in. So just do what we did on the rest of them. Light dusting kind of helps. Okay, and let's see. I'll go ahead and wind ain't cooperating with me. Okay. Now let's see if I can get this to stand up here. There we go. That helps. Okay, and we'll go down here to our other section here. I'm doing that little spritzing on the sides here because those look kind of, you know, on the real sterling, they have kind of a texture too, and you can probably see it pretty good there in the video. That looks good. That looks good. That's done. This thing here. Okay, now that David has put everything together, everything we've painted so far, you can see just from sliding stuff together and, you know, a few little nicks and dings, you know, from my perfect paint job. You know, he screwed it up putting it together, so I gotta hit a few things, but that's not real hard to do. And the trick is you don't want to, you know, hit your grip and some other stuff. So just get some painter's tape, use it to mask a few things off, and the bolts in there. So this gets kind of tricky here. I'm gonna mask that, and look right here, they're going right there on the edge. That's so annoying, but let's put a little painter's tape on it. And sometimes you can't do all at once, but you can see back here, putting this on, nick that, and then moving this around kind of scuffed it. So here, we'll go over here to my painting boards. Okay. And just be real gentle. Get that little part right there, and then I got a nick here. The rest of the stock, and then and we had to screw this together. Okay. And then the little D-ring here, it moves around on you. There we go. It's not hard. You know, I spray paint almost every day of my life, and I kind of take it for granted. I know some of you guys out there have never held a can of spray paint, but you know what, get a cardboard box, and you know, when you're first starting, just get used to staying smooth and steady, you know, with it. You know, it's very important to keep these shaking too. Probably should have said that at the beginning of the video, but you don't want the sediment at the bottom of it. So, but you know, that's basically it. You know, now, you know, I've got the scope mount and the Heinzer counter, which that screws in here and here, and you know, once you put that on and you put your T-track on here, and if you get a mag and get a set of power cylinders, it's basically done. You know, I mean, from start to finish, you probably could paint and assemble this thing in an hour. It doesn't take long, you know. It's a cool little project. You know, once all this stuff's kind of dried up here. We'll go ahead and pull our tape off. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on my channel, YouTube channel there. And if you have any questions about this, don't hesitate to message me.